everyone, my name is Clyde and this is Play by Play. Today we are in the Soviet Tier 10 destroyer Khabarovsk. This is one of my favorite ships, even though she's been treated very poorly in terms of power creep by World of Warships. She was once the fastest ship in the game, but Wargaming has taken speed from this line and given it to French destroyers. She was once the only Tier 10 destroyer with a hull repair, but now Wargaming has taken that trick and given it to the British and the Pan-Euro ships as well. So what is the Khabarovsk even for? The win rate of this ship, over 1 million battles of all the people who've ever played it in Warships, is over 52%. And it has the highest damage of all the destroyers in the game on average. So it's not a bad ship. But Khabarovsk never gets used in competitive play anymore, not probably since 2016, 2017. So why not? Well, one reason is sort of a theory of mine, is that Khabarovsk is sort of a selfish boat. And I don't even mean that as a bad thing, but it means that this boat works by itself and it works for itself. It doesn't spot, it doesn't take caps, it doesn't torpedo anybody, and therefore doesn't have any alpha strike capability. The Khabarovsk drives around, shooting its guns crazily at all times, doesn't really back up its other allies, but it's getting damage consistently throughout the battle. There is one thing that it does do for its allies, and that is to tank damage. If you don't think of a destroyer as a tank, think about it this way. Essentially, whenever the Khabas is out there running around shooting its guns at all times, it is distracting the enemy. It's taking little pieces of damage from them, and it's acting like a rodeo clown. Anytime an enemy ship is shooting at you, they're not shooting at your allies. Think of that in terms of battleships. Every 30 seconds, approximately, most battleships get to take a shot. If it wastes more than one of those salvos on a Khabarovsk, and especially if it doesn't actually do any damage, if it misses, if you danced, if you dodged, then that means that those salvos didn't go into your cruisers and into your battleships. It's a huge benefit to your team if you can be a successful rodeo clown in the Khabarovsk. If you can keep the attention of your enemies, your team can focus on taking them out, or maybe just taking the caps from them. So that is one way in the Khabarovsk that we can be a team player. And when we're not doing that, we had better make sure those guns are working and we're getting fires and we're getting damage on our enemy players. Before we get into this battle, I'd really like to thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you do, I'd love it if you would click that like button and subscribe. It really helps out small channels like mine. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get right into all the action of this triple Khabarovsk battle. Now, the more eagle-eyed among you might have realized that we're already down to 2 Khabarovsks, and we talked earlier about how the Khabarovsk is not really designed for capping points. It has a detectability of nearly 10 kilometers when it's out there in the field, so any other destroyer will be able to outspot it, will be able to see the Khabarovsk before the Khaba can see its enemy. And so it's very dangerous for a Khabarovsk to be out there capping, and that's exactly what happened to one of our Khabas. I'm already up to 38,000 damage in this battle, and it's because I've been keeping my guns working all the time. A Khabarovsk who's not shooting is not doing Khaba things, and so it's very important that, while I'm running around and while I'm being hard to hit, I'm also within my shooting range, which is around 15 kilometers, under 15, somewhere in that 14's range, because I can continue to get shots on enemy ships. Now, that's really annoying if you're the guys in the enemy ships. It's really, really helpful for me, and a perfect target for a Khabarovsk is a big old battleship, and there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, battleships only get to shoot their main guns about every 30 seconds. Some are a little faster, some are a little slower, but that means that I can kind of keep track in my head of when I think that next salvo is going to come, and I can dance and dodge and juke my rudder to avoid those incoming shots. Number two is a battleship is an enormous target. That means it's really easy for me to hit. The Khabarovsk reloads its mains in less than 4 seconds. I think it's like 3.7 seconds with my configuration. And that means I have a lot of opportunities to shoot. I'm shooting at a big and easy to hit target. And a big part of where the Khaba's damage comes from is from getting fires. So here's a technique you can use as a Khabarovsk captain to maximize your fire damage. If you've got 2 battleships within range, shoot at one until you get a fire on that one, and then switch to a different battleship. Shoot at that one for a couple of salvos, switching back to the first one after they've used their damage control party. The reason you switch ships to do that is that once they hit DCP, there's a 10 or 15 second period of immunity. And if you're going to get another fire, you want to do that on a different ship. Because if DCP is running and you get another fire on there, it's healed immediately, which is a waste of a fire. Once the DCPs run out, you can get that second fire on there, and that one will stick. On a battleship, a fire that's going to burn its full duration is going to be worth something like 10,000 damage, more or less depending on the ship, but it's a great boon to maximize your fire output.
Hope you get that fire under control. We'll check back with you later.
Be cool about fire safety.
That's a very optimistic set of torpedoes I've launched at the Kremlin. When I fired them, I was about 8 kilometers away. The range of those torpedoes is only about 6 kilometers. So unless the Kremlin really puts the pedal down and blasts forward into them, I'm not going to get any damage there. Okay, let's go to the mini-map next. Take a look at the positioning of the ships here. We've got a cluster of ships up in that central north portion of the map. The Khabas, the Montana, the Zhao, and even myself are all up there. We're getting damage, we're poking at the bad guys, but just getting damage alone isn't going to win this battle. I'm taking some hits. I've got 3 ships shooting at me at the moment, and then things get pretty serious. I take 9,000 damage in a single salvo. The Khabarovsk is one of just a couple of destroyers that still has a citadel. I just took a serious hit, and that hit really took my damage away. My guns got quiet. This is the thing that I've got to do now, which is stop shooting, get hidden, and find some time to use my hull repairs. Plural, more than one. You're going to watch. I'm going to use basically this one that I'm using right now and the next 2 essentially as soon as they come up. And this is one of the things that the Khabarovsk can do for you. It's resilient. You can get into a situation where I just took huge amounts of damage and then fix it. I can use these hull repairs. I can get a little bit quiet and come back 50% health or so. We'll see how far I get here. But the destroyer's hull repair is a way to correct mistakes. Essentially, I stayed too loud and shouty there for a minute, and eventually that Montana, I think, got a piece of me, and now I have to get quiet until I can come back with renewed strength. So while we're waiting on those hull repairs to recharge, let's talk again about the combat situation. It looks like our Thunderer is moving in on that Smolensk and Gearing. He's probably had enough fire spam from those 2. Montana and Ohio are moving down to support. Our 2 Petropavlovsks are looking at B. We just had an exchange there where I believe it was a Shima and our other Kaba both went down in an exchange of torpedoes. Great news, I guess, but it sucks to lose a destroyer just to kill a different destroyer. The only 2 ships really defending Bravo and Charlie right now for Team Red are this Kremlin and the Montana. So I'm going to spin a circle up here as I wait for my hull repairs to come back, because what I'd like to do is keep the fires rolling on those guys so that my heavy hitters up here, the Montana, the Khabas, to some extent even the Zhao, can help bust these guys down. Once they go down, B and C are very difficult for Team Red to defend. Their Hindenburg and Thunderer and Yamato are kind of central leaning west, and our north crew here could move in there along with those Petros. As I use my second heal right there, I'm looking at this Montana, and as my hit points start to get to the top of what I'm going to get out of that heal, my confidence is increased. I've got about 9,000 hit points now. I'm able to throw some shells at the Montana. He's giving up a big broadside, so it's just a very tempting target. I could have waited another minute to get that 3rd hull repair in, but I don't really want to slow down my damage output, so we'll continue to throw shells at him. Looks like we can get a fire, and I'm hitting 300, 600, 900 damage as I'm kind of peppering this guy with HE fire. The Montana and Khabas are up here with me still, just kind of spinning around, as is our Midway. Looks like we've lost one of our Petros down south of my position, and as we're doing this, you can see the Gearing is moving towards the Alpha Cap. This is kind of a dangerous situation for us. There are 9 minutes left in the game, give or take, and we are really not in a great position. With our fleet split into 2 groups, that west group and this north central group with the Petro all by himself in the middle, we're not as strong as we would be if we were coordinating a little bit better. Gearing has entered the Alpha Cap. This means we're no longer getting any points from owning that capture point, and thus the enemy team is getting all the points as time ticks by in this game. Another problem is I'm very far away from where I should be if I want to contest that capture. Around this time, I decide it's really important for me to make my move, and I get ready to book it down to the Alpha Cap. I've got a Petropavlovsk who's going in there to contest the Gearing in that space, but I'm going to hit my last hull repair, throw some shells at this Kremlin, and as soon as my turbo boost is available, I'm going to head back up that way. The enemy team drops drops our Petro. That's a really bad deal. That means the gearing is unopposed in that cap point. And unfortunately, the only ships that can go in there to contest it are an Ohio, a Thunderer, and a Montana. And I'm here to tell you, battleship captains do not like going 1v1 or even 2v1 or 3v1 against a gearing. A gearing is a very powerful, low-detect destroyer with excellent torpedoes, and without being spotted, that's going to be really dangerous for those battleships. I'm normally very confident in my ability to gun down an enemy gearing in my Khabarovsk. However, I'm out of hull repairs right now, which makes that proposition a little bit more dangerous for me. Also, take a look at the scoreboard. They are up almost 300 points with just about 8 minutes or maybe 7.5 minutes left in the game. I get down there and assist my team in cleaning up that gearing and getting into those other caps. I've hit my turbo now, and I am on my way down to Alpha. I figure if we can contest that cap and then work our way towards B and C, we'll be in good shape. Midway gets eyes on gearing after the red team finishes the cap and drops a few aerial torpedoes on him. The good news about that is he's also spotted right now for our 3 battleships, the ones that are southwest of the A cap. As I speed down there, my main goal really is just to block the enemy point gain. They've got 3 caps right now, so that 300 point lead they've got is just continuing to climb unless we kill ships to keep the scores where they are right now. I'm sailing in a straight line because cornering slows your ships down, and I did talk earlier about how Wargaming gave the fastest ship in the game prize to another ship, the French destroyer line. However, I am cruising at 48.6 knots right now, which is a very high speed for most ships in this game. There's the gearing, we've got eyes on him. Midway's spotting him with those rocket planes. One of our battleships, the Ohio, knocks him out. Fantastic. That's going to make it a lot safer for me to step into Alpha to block that enemy point gain. Right now, I'm looking at the score, I'm looking at the minutes left in the game, about 6, and I know we have a ship advantage, but that might not matter. The enemy team is only 150 points away from winning this game on time and score. So what really matters to us right now is blocking these caps. I'm steaming as quickly as I can into Alpha, and I tell the battleships down there to jump into the caps. I want that Ohio to step into Alpha so I don't have to. If I can turn left and roll into B, we can block 2 caps simultaneously, which is going to help buy us some time to finish the fight. I'm about to step into Alpha, which will slow down the enemy's point gain, and thank goodness. We're winning the gunfight, but we might still lose the match. And that's one of the things that's really interesting to try to balance in a game like this, where the enemy, 924 points, is so close. They are standing on victory's doorstep, and we can either take that victory back, and we just did. Look at that, 2 kills. Montana kills the Hindenburg, Zhao kills the Montana with torpedoes, and I'm raining shells down on this Yamato. We're not out of the woods yet. Even though the enemy team only has 4 ships, there are plenty of opportunities for our team to screw up the momentum that we've developed. Whoa, look at that. We just dumped the Thunderer. This is becoming a more and more winnable game as the minutes tick by. We just killed the gearing. Look at that, 4 ships in rapid succession, bringing the scores a lot closer, but there are just about 5 minutes left in the game. I keep my guns rolling on this Yamato. I'm hoping to get a fire on him to help burn him down. Hey, there's one. That's awesome. I leave the Alpha cap, and this could be construed as foolish. It cost me a lot of experience points to leave the Alpha cap, but I knew the Ohio was going to finish the cap, and at this point, despite the staggering advantage we have in ships, I was still worried about the scoreboard because I wanted to make sure we won the game. I get a lot more XP when we win. I kill the Yamato with a fire.
So don't be afraid of us. Be afraid of fire.
Apart. The problem is the enemy's score is going up and ours is static because we don't own any caps. There's only 1 ship left, the aircraft carrier, and we know he is running for the corner in J10. I'm going to get stepped onto B here, which is going to slow down the enemy point growth. They're about 30 points ahead of us right now, and that's fine. Ohio's going to wrap up that A cap. Again, I gave up the experience points I could have had there to make sure we slow down more of the enemy point gain, just in case that carrier managed to elude us for the next 3.5 minutes. At this point, I am steaming through this cap. The Zhao is going to come in to help me cap it. I am about to be attacked by airplanes because I am the closest ship to the midway. And frankly, those rocket planes are a big threat to a Khabarovsk. In fact, I turn kind of the wrong way here and give him a big broadside, which is great for him to strike me with rockets, but I turn towards him. Our CV is doing a great job keeping the enemy ship spotted, so our long-range ships like our Montana and so on can be shooting at him at range. I am dodging these airplanes, but ever moving closer to the enemy carrier. Again, just like the Alpha cap, I'm 30 seconds from capping B, but I see the Zhao is in there. He's going to finish the cap. He's stopping the enemy point gain, so I can drive out there. As Montana enters the Charlie cap, that has us blocking both B and C and owning A. So it's possible right now that we'll be just fine by way of the score. We're down 33 points, but our score is now climbing, and their score is now static. I charge towards the aircraft carrier because at this point I got a fever, and the only prescription is to sink that carrier. Just 2.5 minutes on the clock now, and it's about at this point where I realize that I'm kind of in danger. I only have 9,900 hit points. If I get killed by this aircraft carrier, my team loses a number of points, and the CV's team gains a number of points. And with the scores just 20-ish points apart right now, this is a terrible time for me to get killed. So I start acting a little bit more cautious. I steer slightly more towards the north, but then I angle back in to try to dodge and avoid those bombers. They can't see me just yet, but eventually they do spot me. And as soon as they do, the CV makes a beeline for me. And if we wait for it, there we go. Now I'm detected. Those bombers are going to swing around. I launch my AA. I switch that on and I give it a boost to that starboard side of the ship. The bombers are coming in, and the Midway has a great chance of hitting me. I'm a large destroyer. It's got reasonably accurate bombs, and from what I've been able to gather during this match, this is a pretty decent aircraft carrier player. So I turn to try to dodge them, but to no avail. He hits me with at least one bomb, starts a fire on me. I use my damage control. At this point, I've got shots that are flying at the Midway. I'm hoping to get a couple of successive fires on him. Aircraft carriers automatically put out the first fire that lands on them. There it is. He's put that fire out, and now I need to get another one. If I can get a second fire on them, it'll at least hinder, if not stop, his ability to launch airplanes. So I'm continuing to keep the fire going. I have no engines right now. One of my guns is out, which is a huge penalty for a Khabarovsk, and rocket planes are on their way. Bad news bears. Rocket planes are the aircraft carrier's best friend when it comes to stopping destroyers, and so I am getting as many shells as I can launched because I think the end might be near. Looking at the score though, I feel a lot more comfortable with where we are right now. 922 points versus their 793. This should be no problem, even if I get killed. I bravely turn in and try to get my shots going. I'm still outside of torpedo range. Oh man, he's so low. Can I snake the kill for the battle? No, but I can get blown up by an aircraft carrier. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw today, please hit the like button and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode of Play by Play. If you can't wait for the next episode, go check out the other videos that are on my channel right now. There's a whole stack of play by plays just like this one. Thanks again for watching. Take care of each other, and we'll see you in the next battle, Captains.